Welcome everyone. I'm Nikhil from mediasmart, and before I start, I would like to thank AdTech for creating this amazing opportunity for us to come today and discuss and also engage upon a very interesting topic, the new prime time. The pandemic has redefined our lives in so many ways, from creating content to consuming content. Needless to say, it has also revamped our television viewing patterns. The television landscape has changed so significantly that the lines between prime time and non-prime time have really blurred. Over the past 20 months, the concept of prime time has undergone a drastic change, especially with the Indian audience. Before OTT platforms came into the picture, the prime time used to be for a few hours, probably 7 to 11 p.m. on weekdays and probably 8 to 11 or 10 p.m. on weekends. But now it has taken a very new meaning. Since everyone is homebound and spending a considerable amount of time looking for video entertainment options, traditional TV viewing habits have been replaced by newer consumption habits, either on the smaller or the big screen. Now, on-demand content is captivating good viewership throughout the day, which means anytime is the new prime time. Our guest today, and I'm super excited to welcome Nikhil Rastogi. He's the commercial director and e-commerce business head of Dyson. He comes with over 2 decades of experience and working with some major global brands like Marico, Dabur, HSBC, Citibank, to name a few. Prior to this, he was with Amazon. And you all know how excited we are to have Nikhil for this week's of the webisode. Welcome, Nikhil. How are you doing and how are things at your end since the pandemic, personally as well as for Dyson?
Hi, Nikhil, and thank you for having me. And honestly, I mean, things have been okay, both professionally and personally. Personally, everything is okay, and thanks to God for that. And professionally, I think Dyson's and our categories have almost got a new lease of life because many of our categories, be it air purifiers or vacuum cleaners or hairstylers, have just got accelerated because people are spending more and more time at home, automation is going up, and there is an increased focus on health and hygiene. So all of that is really helping the company and the brand. So I think we seem to be doing fine.
It's exciting, Nikhil, and I'm sorry it's going to be awkward for both of us to talk to each other like this throughout this next 10 15 minutes, but it's exciting what you bring up, Nikhil, right? I mean, when the pandemic started, I think the industry that was most concerned was beauty and grooming, and you being one of the, and in fact some of the SKUs and categories that you brought up right now when you were speaking were a lot around grooming, and not only personal grooming but also home grooming. And it's exciting to see how this category has completely bounced back or probably come back with a vengeance. Any thoughts that you have on that particularly?
Yeah, I do actually. So, a large part of our beauty category acceleration is because women are going to salons lesser and lesser. And there's obviously a fear of stepping out and spending that kind of a time. But having said that, the need for grooming is pretty much there. People are socializing, maybe in smaller groups. People are coming out in Zoom calls like this one. And they all need to look good and presentable. And this is where some of our technology really comes out quite handy. So we positioned some of our leading technology as a salon that comes to your home, and you can do it yourself. So really got accelerated. And on the subject of air purifiers and vacuum cleaners, it's just about more focus on health and cleanliness and hygiene. And I think these are some of the things that are really catapulting the categories and really helping us accelerate in this market.
Quite exciting, actually. And I mean, it's not a part of what I was going to ask you first, but I think probably Dyson should have sponsored one of the filters which make people look so amazing on these video applications over the last 2 decades. It's such a great idea because probably I think you are enabling people's cameras, because cameras used to be shut for a long part of time.
True, that
is going to be there for a while. You might as well not be hidden behind a name.
That's true. That's true. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's also the basic need to look good. But I think where Dyson technology really comes in is for all our beauty products, we use air instead of heat to straighten, to style air. So there's a technology play behind every product that we have. If it's our vacuum cleaners, they just have extra sensors, better filters, and so on. So there's a lot of tech at play here. At the end of the day, Dyson is a consumer technology company. And what is sometimes invisible to customers is the sheer amount of research and development and technology that goes behind some of these machines. So they're quite powerful beasts in themselves, but it's all under the hood.
Super exciting, Nikhil. So I think to bring you back to the prime time, I mean, I would like to throw this question straight up at the outset. what defines the new prime time for a business that you are leading, Nikhil?
So, very interesting question. I think the first thing is that there is no concept of prime time for the business that we are in, and that's simply because we are talking to a set of customers who are younger, who are fairly global and mobile, and are also very digitally savvy, and therefore the kind of content that they consume and the kind of availability that they have is not really by appointment. So it could be late at night, it could be over a weekend, it could be over a lazy afternoon. They just want to watch and see what they want to on demand, and therefore we are traditionally not in the concept of prime time. Also, many of our audiences are essentially very tech centric. They're quite different from the traditional concept of audiences that you had, and therefore I think the concept of prime time really doesn't hold much water for us.
It's exciting to know, Nikhil, because I think you operate across so many different variety of categories, and while it's in a country like India, it's safe to assume there is a female centricity. I mean, obviously, across your categories, and hence, does the prime time not having, probably, was it a function of the pandemic and the lockdown that you realized and started taking note of it, that the prime time is not really 7 to 11? We don't need to have an ad slot and the traditional linear space of how advertising is perceived. And with you in the behest of the leadership, were you thinking outside the box for a brand which is outside the box by default? Was your marketing strategy very much in sync with that?
True. So actually, pandemic hasn't really changed, much what we were doing. So, for example, if you talk about air purifiers, almost 80% of our consumers are moms, and they have a kid less than 5 years old at home. Once we know this insight, we also know that these women will not be able to spend the time that is a traditional prime time, and they can't really do appointment watching. So many of them would be catching up on TV in the afternoon, or catching up on their favorite shows, or spending a lot more time on social. And therefore, that could be any part of the day. If I were to pick up prime time, probably afternoon is a bigger prime time for us. The other, I mean, if I talk about beauty and personal care, then the audience is much younger. They're essentially working women, first jobbers, etc. And again, to expect them to really hold themselves to a prime time is difficult, because they are women on the go. They like to consume content on the go. They like to consume content on their mobile, not traditionally the way it's viewed in Indian households. And therefore, again, it's not much, in terms of what they watch on Prime TV. It's practically whenever they're free, and whichever device is most accessible to them. I think that's the kind of content that they typically end up consuming.
Interesting, very interesting, Nikhil. That brings me to my second question, that while you said that, from your approach towards marketing, nothing much has changed from the pandemic, but as a leading advertiser, or even from a consumer lens, have you seen any shifts happening from a consumer trends or consumption patterns specific to post the lockdown, or post the pandemic 2.0 as well? In fact, not even one.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, so there are some trends which have really got accelerated. So obviously, time spent on mobile and time spent on social has really gone up considerably. So we do a lot of work with influencers, and we create a lot more content that feeds to that. There's obviously this big rise in OTT content, which I think the pandemic has really helped accelerate in a big way. And again, this is a place where we meaningfully advertise, and we meaningfully try and engage with our audience. We just know that the format is quite immersive. There are some newer emerging trends like the connected TV, which is fast growing in importance, gives you the same look and feel and the audio visual capabilities of a TV, but on demand, and the content is far more engaging. And now you have some fantastic inventories which are available there. So again, we have started to experiment with that, and it's boding well for us. So I would say these are some of the things that are changing as far as consumers are concerned. So more time on digital and mobile and social, and more time on OTT, and this growth in connected TV. I think these are some of the things that stand out for me.
Yeah, that's exciting. I think, just my 2 cents, I think connected TV's growth is actually, it was always growing. It was, Nikhil, it was one of the largest phenomenon in US, and I think the share
Yeah.
of mobile impressions is almost equal to the share of CTV impressions in US. That's how big CTV is in terms of reach and penetration. I think India has also been quite interesting, because I think from a consumer sentiment lens, and we recently conducted a survey as well, probably after a point of time, users started to realize that, why would you watch what you can watch on a smaller screen when you can explore and when you're anyways locked at home, you have four walls and you have a TV and you have a mobile. And probably I think that catapulted the growth of connected TVs altogether. And I think most people have a smart TV at home. Probably I don't remember anybody producing a non-smart TV, especially thanks to a lot of manufacturers that have come in India and made it accessible at less than 15,000 rupees price point. Even an Amazon Prime stick is available at less than 3,000 rupees. People
Correct.
connecting it to Xbox or PlayStation also makes it into a connected TV. Anything that uses internet makes it a connected TV. And probably, which is where a lot of consumers have started seeing, hey, why would I want to watch something on a small screen that I can watch on the large screen, right? And more consumers have also started understanding there is more to internet, that I can do more, right? I mean, a lot of people also don't understand India is the second largest app downloading country in the world. Obviously, we have numbers to our side in terms of population, but I think we still are quite a savvy nation. And I think if you're internet savvy, then you can be approached by advertisers in multiplicity of ways. CTV absolutely provides an incremental reach medium, is what we understand, and what we have been talking to a lot of advertisers. Have you started looking at CTV from a very different lens, and especially considering CTV falls into an audience bucket which is probably more educated, more advanced, knows how to use internet for Dyson as a brand?
Look, by design, we know that Dyson is priced premiumly in the market, and therefore we look at certain set of audience who both have the affordability and a certain kind of mindset and psychographics to afford our products. And this is where connected TV really works well for us, because we know that despite connected TVs being a fast-growing mechanism, I mean, we still have what 15 to 18 million connected TVs in the country. The potential is to go up to 200 million. So there is a huge road ahead of us. But today, I think the first movers, and I was just looking at some NCCS A data and some overlap with connected TV. We know that essentially still largely in the top 5 to 7 cities, which is where we are more interested in. Almost 65 to 70% NCCS A data, which is again the kind of people we want to go after. So I think from a sheer positioning and the way we are priced and the kind of people we want to go after, I think connected TV really works well for us, because it gives us the same capabilities of being precise as digital, but it just gives the experience on a much larger screen, Nikhil, which you pointed out a bit earlier.
Fantastic. I think wrapping it up as the last question, I think India has got the cheapest data plan across the world. I mean, we are amongst the top 5 in that for sure. Population is always on our side. Thanks to the recent advent of Chinese manufacturers, smart TVs are no longer a thing for the urban metro SECA. It's not the Samsung or the LGs. It's the more penetrable categories, without naming them, which come at an extremely reasonable price point. You can order a smart TV and it can get installed in your house in 2 days. Now, keeping these few factors that I just shared, do you think CTV would be a large part of the future of digital advertising in India as well? Or do you think, no, it's just one of those things which has its limitations? It'll stay till a while, but I don't think it's my next 2-year plan where I'm going to be like going mad about it.
No, I think personally, and from how we see it at Dyson, I think it's going to be a very important part. I mean, I'm not sure how fast it will grow, honestly, but I do feel that it's very targeted, and for us, it's bang on money. The sheer measurement capability that the platform provides, and also many of our technology needs a lot more explanation, and therefore needs to be immersive, needs to be viewed on a larger format. There's a play of sound and surround environment that you want to create around when you're presenting your brand. I think CTV allows us to do that. I'm also thinking in terms of newer innovations which are going to come our way in terms of AR VR capabilities on connected TV. Just being able to virtually browse through our stores on connected TV and the like, being able to probably even book, just as we have an Instagram shopping and the like. There seems to be a very bright future for this, because one of the things we always have thought about is that how much can mobile viewing for a brand like us really helps us. And there's always this tension that if we go regular television, that it's too massy and probably it's not that targeted, and there's a lot of spillage. So I think connected TV in that sense solves that tension and that problem. So it's the same experience. I think you summarized it earlier. but you can choose the place you want to do, you can choose the time, you can choose the inventory, and it's all measurable. And it's growing in importance. I mean, more and more people are connected. We spoke about the fire sticks and the likes. I think it's just becoming the new way of accessing and watching content on the internet. And not to say that mobile is not going to be important for a country like ours. It's always going to be important and a larger piece. But for us, I think this is where we would like to really win first, because this is way more targeted, and we simply believe it's a better proxy for the kind of people that we want to reach out to.
No, that's perfect, actually, Nikhil. And I think the technology is moving so fast and it's evolving so fast. And I was sort of, we were talking about it before we started this, that CTV also has now the household sync phenomena to it. So to recognize the IP address, you can retarget every household member. That means you're mapping the mobile ad ID to now a CTV. And once you have recognized the mobile ID, what can you get? You can show the ad on a large screen experience, make him take an action on your mobile. You get the VCRs there, you get the CTRs there. Probably you can go to your site, buy it, drive him to action, and in fact, drive him to a store for all you know, once the world is better. So I think the world is moving so fast, and I think technology is catching up. And I think this is one breath of fresh air on the digital side of things, which is exploring and opening up a complete new dimension. I mean, till now, the media silos were quite well defined. You have social, you have digital, you have outdoor, print, which obviously took a lot of hit. But now you have CTV. I mean, you got to look at it at a completely different lens. And people keep asking us that, what is the incremental reach that CTV is giving you? And I just go back and tell them, CTV is the incremental reach, right? I mean, versus what? I mean, this is a new set of users who have probably never bought a new TV and cut the cord, never went to the DTH side of things, just started watching internet through that. And I think that base is what I think brands like you will be capturing. But thank you, Nikhil, for sharing your insights. With this, I'm going to move to a very superb but short and crisp section called the rapid fire. Now, obviously, you were not informed about it because it's supposed to be a surprise, and I'm probably not going to be as good as the man who invented rapid fire in India and who made it very popular. But it's meant to be fun. You are supposed to answer it quickly. It's not politically incorrect anywhere. But that's how the format is. Are you game for the rapid fire?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Fantastic, Nikhil. Okay, my first question to you. Did you watch the Olympics or have been watching IPL with your family? And if so, was it on Sony Live, Sony 10, Hotstar, or Star Sports, which is either or Olympics or IPL?
I would say a combination. I mean, I clearly remember Sony 10, which is a regular television. I also remember watching it on YouTube in terms of retelecast and the likes. I also remember watching it on OTT. So probably, I don't know all the ones that you mentioned, but probably I've watched it at least on 2 or more.
So you're the guy who everybody talks about multi-screen audiences. We are not able to figure you on DTH or OTT, so probably got to wear your hat on for the advertisers, people watching. Okay, my next question, quick one. In the next 3 years, where do you foresee TV watching consumer base comfortably growing and scaling and consuming their prime time? Tata Sky or Amazon Fire Stick?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I don't think Tata Sky is going to grow as much as the Fire Stick folks will be. But when I look at small towns and when I travel to that part of India, which is what we don't get exposed to in big metros, I do also feel that television is also here to stay. So probably it's going to be a while till that audience really disappears, which can take forever. But on the other side, the Fire Stick folks are really going faster and faster. And even in small towns, you see more and more people now getting hooked onto that.
So next 3 years, where are you putting your bet on? It's just a black and red, actually.
So I will then go with the Fire Stick folks.
Fantastic. All right. The future of revenues for omni-channel conglomerates. Star TV Network or Hotstar? Z Network, the plethora of channels, or Z5?
The Star franchise.
And I mean, basically between the Star TV Network or the Hotstar, the OTT side of the phenomena, or the network side of the business?
I think the network side for Star is also fairly significant, and there are brands that need that audience and that reach, which at least in the next 2-3 years is going to be around. So for me personally, it's going to be more of Hotstar, but in general, I don't think Star franchise is threatened as of now. the network side.
Fantastic. All right, CTV advertising future will be lying within the programmatic buying ecosystem, or do you think, as we all do it in India, the direct buy side of things? Where do you think the world of CTV advertising will
I
be?
think more and more programmatic, more and more programmatic. I mean, as you have more and more DMPs getting more and more refined and more inventory coming onto that, I think it's going to go the programmatic way.
Fantastic. Last two questions. D2C versus legacy CPG brands. Who do you think will rule the consumer's choice by 2025?
By 2025, the regular CPG. But if you were to ask me by 2050, I would say D2C is going to become more and more significant simply because they offer far more customization and far more choices. And finally, what the traditional CPG companies are not able to do and leave all the need gaps behind, I think the D2C companies are quickly coming and filling them one by one. So it's going to be one large growth story in the next few years to come.
All right, my last question and a curveball. By definition of Dyson's core audience in offline world, where do you think that audience is digitally on the large screen specifically? Linear TV or connected TV?
At this stage, I think the connected TV market, like we just discussed, I mean, there are only 15 million. So, I mean, at this stage, probably both. But if you were to just say as a percentage overlap, then connected TV would be far more bang on TG. I mean, obviously, like I discussed, there's a far more bigger spillage and, a huge base, which is there on traditional TV, which is not really for us.
Fantastic. With that, I think we come to this end of rapid fire. Nikhil, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for being so candid and bringing such a different point of view about everything, actually, and that we came across through at your side of things. And thank you for being on the new Prime Time, Nikhil.
Really enjoyed that, and I will still not call it a prime time because for me that concept doesn't exist. So, but I really enjoyed our conversation.
All right, great. Thank you, Nikhil.